Welcome to Pastoring on Purpose, the official podcast of the Center for Ministerial Care. Join us for this meaningful conversation led by Dr. Tim Maness and the Ministerial Care team about intentionally navigating the challenges, burdens, and opportunities facing church leaders and their families. We exist because healthy churches depend on healthy ministers. The Center for Ministerial Care. For ministers, for families, for you.
Welcome to another episode of Pastoring on Purpose. This is Dr. Tim Maness here in our studios in the wonderful Cleveland, Tennessee, and I am along with our producer and co-host today, Ryan. Ryan, how are you doing today, man?
I'm pretty good. The weather's finally good.
Yeah,
we've got nice sunshine, and I'm feeling nice, feeling healthy, and ready to go.
Yeah, we're getting into the summer.
Yeah,
it's hard to believe. It is exciting. I do love this time of year, though. My sinuses don't. My allergies don't.
I mean, a lot of folks don't know this, but in Cleveland, Tennessee, we get this pollen rain.
Yeah.
I mean, it's your cars get coated in this yellow dust this time of year, and it's awful.
Yeah, it's always fun whenever my kids leave a message on my car, and that's it's time to go clean the car.
Yeah,
at that point.
Your windshield wiper will actually dust your window.
Yeah,
it's straight. It's wild, but
it is wild, isn't it? That's funny. Well, today we're going to kind of talk about our second part of social media and the effect that it has on us, our life, our thinking, our feelings, our emotions, our spiritual life. It also affects how we respond and react to other people. And so we didn't want to go too long without having that second part. We're really excited because we do have a lot of good episodes coming up that we're excited to kind of get into. But I'm excited about this. And, we talked about this, how it affects us emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, and how it makes us feel fragmented, the slow process of it, and how, honestly, it takes up a lot of our time. Kind of getting into that loop, like you said, we're all living in different realities based on what we watch.
Right.
Because that's what we're being fed, is to keep us engaged, to keep us constantly on the screen, if you will.
And often it's not just to keep us engaged, but it is also to keep us in conflict.
Yes.
Because conflict drives emotion.
Oh, absolutely.
Stronger than almost any other thing we do. And
yep.
When you have a strong emotion, you stay engaged longer. And so the algorithm looks for that.
The way the media gets your attention, because I don't care what news station it is, it's all about, viewership,
right?
How many people's watching, and it's fear and it's anger. If they can make you fearful or they can make you angry, chances are they know you're going to stay engaged watching whatever it is that they're talking about.
Yeah. When I'm not on the podcast or doing this, I am part of a marketing agency, and so we study trends and how things work. And back in the 80s and 90s, we used to talk about this idea that sex sells, right? Mm-hmm. Like on television, the ads would get more risque, trying to evoke an emotional response from us to make us stay engaged and interested. And today, that same thing still happens, except it is no longer that sex sells, it's conflict sells, because now our media is interactive. Mm-hmm. And so the way to get us to respond is to get us angry, to make us want to shout back.
Yeah. And us shouting back, oftentimes can even elicit another response, especially if you're posting something.
Right.
And so it's just going to keep you engaged in that conflict. Because I don't know anybody that doesn't like to have the last word, right?
And then we get trapped.
It is really interesting because it gets to a point now, it's like the more we say it or the louder we are, the more true it is, and that's not the truth.
Right.
We're gonna do our second part of this. We're gonna talk about the inner life, how it affects us. I really want to kind of dive into the delayed awareness and how that works and connect that with a few other things that happen to us in ministry if we're not careful. And so you're not going to want to miss this episode. Let us take a quick break, and we'll be right back right after this.
The Center for Ministerial Care provides professional counseling services for Church of God ministers and their families free of charge. We're here to help with marital or financial stress, burnout, depression, loneliness, grief, or any challenge that you might be facing. If you're a pastor in the Church of God who could benefit from professional, confidential counseling with a Pentecostal perspective, we want to help. Visit ministerialcare.com for more information.
Welcome back to Pastoring on Purpose. And speaking of concentration, Ryan, I'm trying to stay concentrated. My daughter graduated this last weekend.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. And so it's a conflation of emotions, right?
Yeah.
And so happy for her, obviously, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm also grieving. And so we're trying to kind of go through that. But
Will she stay local, or is she going away to college, or has she made a decision yet?
she's going to stay local.
Okay.
She's going to go to school to statistician.
It's hard to say.
It's hard to say, but that's what she's going to go
wonderful.
into. Yeah, and so it's what she loves doing, and so we're really happy. And we've always wanted our kids to just find their own path.
Yeah.
What is it God that wants you to do? We want to have influence in their life, obviously, but not influence them in a way that is telling them what they should do with their life.
Right.
As long as it's honorable and good, honest work.
Yeah.
And so we're happy for them. All right.
Good.
So moving off of that was my, 2-minute counseling time, I guess, for me. Why is this so hard to see? We don't really recognize the effect that it has on us, not just in the moment, but even over time. As we're having this conversation, even I, going back and looking at this, now I'm kind of having to reevaluate how it has affected my life. I've noticed, I really need Jeff here a lot of times when we're doing the podcast because I get scattered.
Right.
I can kind of go off on trails. I can get lost in my own thinking, and I'm thinking, I used to not be that way.
Yeah.
I used to be able to be very focused. I knew exactly where I was going and not kind of get distracted in that fragmented thinking of myself. I'm starting to realize that maybe social media has done that to me.
It's that or old age.
Well, I think I prefer social media.
Social media, yeah.
At least I can do something with the social media part.
Right.
I don't know if I can do anything with the old age.
You can't log out of your 40s.
No, I cannot, unfortunately. So it would only be downhill from there. But no, I think that definitely has played a part. And so, when I say delayed awareness,
From a counseling standpoint, what is delayed awareness?
oftentimes you become aware very, very much later, oftentimes when it's too late. Mm-hmm. And at that point, you're already kind of you're hooked. And in Alcoholics Anonymous, what's the first step that people have to recognize?
Right. You have to admit that you have a problem.
You have to admit that you have a problem.
Right.
If you can't admit that you have a problem, if you don't think there's a problem, there's nothing to fix.
Right.
There's not going to be anything you're going to work on. So even if you do have a problem, if you don't admit it, and so I think delayed awareness causes us to not even think it's an issue.
Sure.
It just becomes so initiated and ingrained into us in our own daily living that we just accept it. It is what it is. It might even seem kind of strange. Well, why are we talking about social media? It's because it's such a big part of our lives now.
Yeah.
Kind of like, when the phone first came out, the cell phone, there was a big talk about how that's going to affect us and how you don't hear any talk about that anymore.
No. I remember I fought getting a cell phone because I thought I am not so important that someone needs to be able to get me no matter where I am.
Wow.
And now I can't even imagine not being able to be gotten.
Right. Well, think about that, though. Think about the difference in your thinking process.
Right.
And, the thinking of importance, right? I'm important, or I have to be able to get a hold of someone because if I don't, what's that going to mean?
Yeah.
Right? It causes a lot of anxiety now because we're so used to being connected, and we don't like to feel disconnected.
No.
And the really interesting thing is that oftentimes, whatever the platform is for social media, it does make us feel disconnected. And so you have this gradual formation that's hard to detect. There's really no immediate warning signs. It doesn't really affect you in a negative way initially. It doesn't really have this kind of big, it's just a very slow process, and it feels normal because it's constant. It becomes part of your life. Things that you'd watch on television back, in the 80s, you would never see today.
Right.
Probably in a good way.
Yeah.
It's like, how did that get on television? Right? But it's very similar to burnout. I don't know anybody that says, well, if I just continue doing this, I'm going to get, we don't recognize it in the moment.
Yeah.
The only time we recognize it is oftentimes when we're actually full-fledged into it. And typically it's a process. You don't get burned out overnight. You don't start a new job and then the next day say, well, I'm just burned out because this happened.
Yeah.
It's a gradual tear. It's a gradual process. And oftentimes, even when we get into it and we're burned out, we don't recognize it.
Yeah. Sometimes it takes having a panic attack.
It does.
Or somebody else to say, hey,
Yeah.
maybe
Are
it's
you
time to
okay?
check your investment.
Yeah. You're not acting like you used to be. This is not, is everything okay?
Yeah.
And then emotional depletion is the same way, which obviously goes with burnout. But you don't feel the shift while it's happening. You feel it when you try to be still and realize you can't.
Yeah.
Right? And familiar patterns can still be unhealthy patterns. I'm going to repeat that. Familiar patterns can still be unhealthy patterns. We like familiarity.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Ryan. I like to take my shower at the same time. I got to have my coffee in the morning. I pray a certain time.
We are creatures of habit.
We are creatures of habit. It makes us feel safe, makes us feel secure. But what habits do you have are worth keeping?
Right. Yeah.
Right?
I don't know that, what they call doom scrolling at 1
I don't think it's
not a healthy habit.
No, it's, and that can keep you, before too long, it's 3 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
And you're still awake.
Yeah.
And typically, having your eyes on a screen is not going to cause you to be sleepy.
Correct.
It's going to stimulate your brain. And so that's another issue that we could talk about. We won't go into, but we get so used, it's almost a drug, that we get so used to being stimulated in a way we become accustomed to it. And what we need more of it.
Right. And it's interesting because when we talk about that specific aspect of the problem with social media, we don't even talk about it in that way. What we say is we have FOMO, a fear of missing out. But that's not actually what it is.
So we see how this affects us. Well, in ministry, it affects your inner life, right? It's the internal formation. Well, your internal formation is going to affect your external ministry. What is from out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speak.
Yeah.
Right? What you think about is going to affect how you feel, and how you feel is going to affect how you act. So it's am I going to become more reactive in my leadership process? Am I going to react in a way that's not healthy or become more like what should be a 2 or 3? Am I going to elevate it to an 8 or 10? Because once again, I'm not I'm not evaluating myself in a healthy way. I need help.
I think we've all started our day checking our Facebook and seeing a post that has left us angry.
Yeah.
Or upset. And it's like, this is how you're starting your day.
Yeah.
And it's not even typically something that really is immediately affecting you.
And you're right. It doesn't involve you.
Yeah.
That's now controlling you.
Right.
That has control over your emotions, your thinking process, you name it.
It's like waking up on the wrong side of the bed.
Oh, yeah.
Except it's the internet. Waking up on the wrong side of the internet.
Yeah, exactly. Waking up on the wrong side of the internet. That's good. So, ministry flows from your inner life. And when you feel disconnected, you feel disjointed, you feel scattered, that's going to come out in your ministry. And so fragmented inner world will produce reactive leadership. It will produce probably shallow preaching, and it's going to cause emotional inconsistency. Emotional regulation is going to be a difficult thing. Ryan, the reality of it is you can still grow a platform and be burned out.
Yeah.
You can be struggling internally and still maintain activity. You can appear effective. You can even grow a church, right?
And people will like you and might
They'll
not
love you.
have any idea what's going on.
And all while you're doing that, you are becoming completely depleted. And it's really possible to be externally fruitful and internally fragmented. However, it's very fragile. You can only, it's difficult to live that way for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
And so, like going back to the AA kind of analogy, you can't fix something that you don't recognize as a problem. Recognizing this is an issue in my life, so the turning point is becoming aware of the issue first and foremost. We have to be aware of it.
So how do we become aware of it in our daily life?
Well, I think we have to shift from the diagnosis of it. Okay, this is what it is, to responsibility. Like, I can't expect someone else to be responsible for what I need to do. It's like time. I say this all the time. If you don't respect your time, you can't expect anyone else to.
Yeah.
So you can complain that, so-and-so's coming, you're being torn. Okay, well, why is that? If you're just going to give it to them and not respect that time, neither are they. And so awareness precedes change. This is not about guilt. I want to be clear here. This is not about making you feel shameful or even trying to cause immediate restriction upon your life. This is more about clarity, ownership, and intentionality. I don't know anyone who doesn't want to be more clear in their thinking process. I want to take ownership of that in my life. Whatsoever is true, holy, and good, right? Think on these things. I want to be intentional about that. And it's really so true when it comes to things that we take in through media, through social media, because we typically aren't intentional about it. We're like zombies. We're just kind of going through the process.
And usually we are being fed
Yep.
the social media through the different algorithms. We don't actually find ourselves Googling for information as much as we once did. Right? Instead, now we receive more than we request.
Yeah. It's important to kind of become intentional about that. And so what patterns am I noticing? It's a good question to ask yourself. How do I feel after extended engagement of whatever it is I'm consuming? What has changed in me over time? Is this, am I having the mind of Christ, or am I letting someone else think for me? And that's just, honestly, that does happen, right?
Yeah.
I want you to think about this. Where do I feel most scattered right now? Wherever you're at, I just wanted you to take this moment and think. I'm going to slow down my talking a little bit here. Do you feel most scattered in your mind? Is it your thinking? Is it your emotions? Maybe it's your spiritual life. I want to really encourage all of our listeners to have moments of silence throughout the day. Moments of 5-10 minutes if you can. If that's all you get, that's all you get. That's fine. Start somewhere where everything is turned off and it's nothing but you and God.
Remember that today, in these days of technology, that silence is not always audio. Silence has become visual as well.
Absolutely.
Turn your screen off.
Absolutely. And I think we can go through, there's quite a bit there throughout Scripture talking about the need for silence. And I do think we have way too much noise today.
Yeah.
Once again, I said this before, I don't see any minister bragging about slowing down.
No.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. It's unfortunate in some ways too.
Well, we think that our worth is determined by what we do. That's not scriptural.
Right.
Jesus, before he performed any miracle, before any eyes were, made open, before the lame could walk, before anything took place, the Father said to him, "This is my beloved Son in whom I am well pleased." We were created in his image. So our worth does not depend upon our work. Our worth is, in the image of Christ, in the image of God. And so when we feel like we have to do something in order to have, this is who I am, right? If we don't do it, well, then we're anxiety, right? I need to do more. I'm not doing my job. All kinds of things take place. Thinking about what's the counseling insight in all of this? And it's simply this: formation happens through repetition, not intensity. In Pentecostalism, we have a lot of intense services, right? Not say a lot. We used to have a lot, I guess, back in the day, but it can be more intense. We can have those kind of moments. That is not what causes formation. What causes formation is repetition. How often do you read Scripture? How often do you connect to God? It's not just a one-time thing, zap, and boom, I'm spiritually mature.
Right.
But it happens through discipline, through repetition. And it's not one long session, it's daily exposure. So what is getting your attention more often throughout the day?
Yeah. How often are you picking up your Bible versus your phone?
True. That's true. and when you do that, you're not looking at the Bible on your phone, obviously, right?
Well, that's because the Bible's usually on an iPad.
It is. It is. So, but it's small habits. These small. I often say in counseling, it's not trying to do these major changes in your life that's going to make these huge differences. We often think that, but it's often the minor things, the minor little shifts. I'm not a good dancer, but if you have a couple that's dancing, they just need to be off just a little bit, and when that happens, they're stepping on each other's toes. Right. If they can kind of get on rhythm together, and I use this as a symbol in a relationship, if you can be in rhythm with one another, there's something very beautiful about that takes place.
Yeah.
You're flowing with the other spouse. You're interacting. You're connected. You're moving in a way that's complementing each other, right? And I think the little shifts, little small habits make these deep impacts.
As we talk about like taking steps to become healthier, and both mentally and spiritually and even physically, I think that when you try to do a big change, it doesn't stick.
Yeah.
Because large changes require large amounts of work, and small changes are smaller amounts of work, and so it's easier to keep up with them. And then they stop being work. They
Absolutely.
start being the habit that we talked about earlier.
They become part of your daily life.
Yeah.
Right? What can we do, right? We recognize, but this is something that we need to kind of work on and be aware of. And all full disclosure here, I'm not going to stop using social media.
Right. And I don't think anyone needs to.
I don't think anyone needs to.
I do think it's important to note that just having social media is not a problem.
Right.
It's really about moderation, like anything.
Absolutely.
Is about moderation.
And I'm very fortunate that we have the technology that we have today. I mean, honestly, we're not making nearly the impact that we're able to make if it's not for telehealth.
Right. Yeah.
I think 95, maybe even more, 95% of our counseling is going to be online.
Right.
You take that away, it really reduces our ability to be connected, help our ministers, our families significantly.
Yeah.
And once again, well, what can we do? Just learn to sit in silence. Can you be still? Right? Is it possible for you to be still? And here's the thing, not just be able to be still and not be anxious over it.
Right.
Is it okay? I'm not asking you to just change your whole life and just do nothing. That's not what I'm asking. Obviously, most of our ministers would not be able to do that, right? And I wouldn't want you to. But can you be still, have no phone, no input, and then recognizing, are you becoming restless? Is your thought process wandering into work? Are you thinking about a sermon? Are you thinking about what you need to do later? Are you thinking about what Well, you might be sitting still, but mentally you're working.
Yeah. Right.
How often do you have to have that urge to check your device?
Yeah.
It is an addiction that, let's be honest, many of us have or are dealing with or have dealt with at some point or another. Because it's become so initiated into our lives, such a slow process, we don't even recognize it.
We were talking before we started recording. You had said that, while you're in a restaurant, you'll look over at another table and you'll see, a couple, and
both of them are on their phone.
Right. And I joked, I always like to pretend they're texting one another.
Yeah.
But I always found for me a good check is to be aware of when I am at a meal.
Yeah.
And do I find myself going, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
And it's
what did
because I was looking at my phone and not at the friends or my spouse or whoever was talking. And that's always I try to be conscious and aware of that specific question, particularly when I'm with other people, because that is almost always the sure sign that I was on my phone and maybe should have been engaged.
There used to be a time where, our behavior could be considered rude. Right? There was a certain sense of protocol that was proper, if you will.
And now it's rude to say, can you put your phone down, please?
Yeah, I would could you please be present? But it's almost like it doesn't exist. It's like, whatever you want to do, just do it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really take into account those who are with you, those who are present. It doesn't take into account community.
Right.
And you're right. It's interesting.
We have traded social interaction for social media.
Yes, very good. And kind of going back on what you were saying, what we talked about earlier, is like, hey, sweetheart, or whatever you call your spouse, let's go on a date. And then you go and you both are just. And oftentimes when that happens, this is going on a rabbit trail. We won't go down there that far. It's because they don't have anything to talk about.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay. Well, why? Does that become awkward?
Yeah.
And so I don't know anyone that likes awkwardness. Some people like to create awkwardness, but I don't know people that like to just be in awkward situations. So if 5 minutes feels difficult, like just being still, being focused on not work, not something you have to do, like just be present, if that is difficult for you, that should be a very big warning sign for you. To summarize, social media is shaping you. The impact is gradual but real, and oftentimes brutal. You know, I've honestly seen in counseling in couples how social media has deteriorated marriages, has caused a lot of issues. You know, we talk about, you know, one of the good things about social media is being able to reconnect with old friends, and
Right.
But it's also a negative thing because there's some friends that we've had in the past we don't need to have today.
Yeah.
You know, and there's people that may have been a part of our life where we've forgotten, where they weren't there in our lives to help us, but rather to hurt us in some way, shape, or form, or there's toxicity there. So social media is shaping you. Your inner life matters more than your online presence. Your inner life is more important than what you think everyone else thinks about you, or whether you're being seen, or whether you're being noticed, or whether you're being whatever the case may be, right? So don't neglect that. So you cannot guard your soul from what you refuse to recognize as shaping you. But once you see it, you can begin to steward it. It's hard to steward something you don't know anything about.
Yeah.
Or if you recognize you don't need to. You know, I like to steward my finances. I like to know where it's going. Right? I mean, I think that's something we all can, you know, I like to be a steward of my time. I like to know where it's going.
Yeah.
And I've said it, I think last episode we talked about this, but I'll restate it here. Your time is the most important currency you have. You don't get it back.
And strangely, it's the one we tend to value the least.
Absolutely. And here's the thing, too, we don't think about is when you give someone your time, a church, you know, you're taking your time away from something else.
Yeah.
Whether it's time away with God, or oftentimes, and you see this, it's time away from spouse, it's time away from kids.
Yeah.
But that time is being replaced with something. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to have our final segment talking about some of the wonderful things about social media and what it's done in our lives, how it's been able to impact us for the good. And so you're not going to miss this. We'll be right back right after this.
If you would like to help support the Center for Ministerial Care continue its mission of serving those who so faithfully serve all of us, we encourage you to like us on Facebook, subscribe to this podcast, and share it with others. You can also visit our website at ministerialcare.com and click the donate button to make a contribution that directly benefits our services.
Welcome back to the final segment of Pastoring on Purpose. And we've been talking about social media, the impact that it has on our life. And so, Ryan, let's kind of shift a little bit before we end this episode.
I have a list of 5 things that I think are really good mental health things. And we're just focusing on the mental health part, you know, for this. But the first thing that is good about social media for our mental health is it does foster community
Yes.
and provide social support.
Yes.
So you are able to, as you said, connect with people that maybe you aren't near or maybe you're not close with, but there are places and spaces for every sort of group or affiliation or interest, you know, any of those things. And it's a great way to connect with other people who are like you, and that is a positive thing.
And you think about how difficult 2020 would have been without that sense of connection. Now, it doesn't replace presence. I get that. That's not what we're saying. But at least it gives us another alternative to be able to foster some sense of community.
Yeah.
I like that.
And it's a great way if you have an interest. If I really like checkers, I can go online. If I don't, but
I know.
But if I really liked checkers, I could go online and find a group online on social media who love checkers, and I can share my interest in checkers with other people because the rest of my family doesn't like checkers.
Also with that, I think it's important to recognize, whether it be Reddit or some other place, that if there's something you're struggling with, or if you've been diagnosed with something, chances are perhaps you don't know anybody that has been diagnosed, whatever it is you have, right? You can go online and get really good support from other people who are struggling and going through the same thing that you're going through to kind of help you feel, you know what, I'm not alone. And get great advice, great help from people who has been there and done that with what you're going through.
And that is the second thing on the list, is that it's a great place for health education and resources. Now, when we say health education, we want to stress, don't become an internet doctor.
No.
Don't WebMD
Nope.
every little problem that you might have. Your doctors hate that, and it's also not healthy for you.
No, my mom was her own doctor.
Yeah.
She would go to WebMD. There was not a sickness or illness that she did not have.
Yeah, self-diagnosis is bad. And the other problem with internet diagnosing yourself is that almost every single problem is going to end in your death.
Yeah.
When you Google it,
It's always going to be the worst case scenario. So that's all you're going to see.
Yeah. But it is a great opportunity, as you said, to also find some education and health resources, support groups in particular.
Absolutely.
The third thing is that it helps to combat isolation, right? So there are a lot of times maybe you're geographically isolated. We've had folks on this show who lived in Alaska, who are very, very geographically far from others around them. So, maybe you just live in a very rural community. It's also, in the same way, it can help combat isolation for different marginalized identities. If you are a person of color living in a place where you are the only person of color.
Minority,
Things like that, yeah. And so it can help you not feel alone.
Absolutely.
It's also a place to find inspiration.
Okay.
So there are plenty of places that are sharing motivational quotes. You can hear other people's stories of their personal growth or how they overcame the adversities that maybe you are feeling as well. And so it can help inspire you to grow and be healthier.
It can actually help you do better.
Yeah. How about that?
How about that? That social media can help you do better.
Yeah, it's true.
It just how you approach it, I like that.
Again, we talked about it on the last show. It's a tool.
It is.
Right? You can use a hammer to pound a nail, or you can use a hammer to hit someone.
Yeah.
And one of those is constructive and the other is not.
And in the context of ministries and ministerial families, they typically use that hammer on themselves.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, beating themselves up.
We're so hard on ourselves.
So hard. We really are our worst critic. We expect more out of us, I think, at times than God expects out of us.
Yes. Yeah.
Setting ourselves up for failure. But anyways, we're going on sidetrack. Go ahead.
And then the very last one is it's a great place for personal sharing. You can amplify your own voice and share your own story and also advocate for causes that you care about and believe in. And some of those may be your church or an activity your church is doing. And when you share those personal stories, you feel better.
Absolutely.
You're sharing positivity, and that makes you feel positivity.
Yeah, absolutely. It's contagious in some ways.
Yeah,
right?
I think that we sometimes take, especially because it has become so embedded in every single thing that we do, I think that we sometimes actually forget that social media is also an incredibly powerful tool.
It is.
Many years ago, I'm about to date myself. Many years ago, I was living in Los Angeles. It was the night that Princess Diana died in the car crash.
I remember exactly where I was at when that happened.
Yeah, I was online, and this is early internet. I mean, this is very early internet. I learned that she had died before it was on the television news that she had even been in a car crash.
Wow.
That still happens today. Like
well, that was unheard of back then.
Yes. Yeah. It was incredibly unheard of back then. But I say that just to briefly illustrate that, like, there is a huge amount of power. We kind of waste it by just sharing pictures of our lunch, right? But when used properly, it is an incredibly, incredibly powerful tool. And I think that we sometimes don't appreciate that. And so I do think that there is positivity to social media, and we don't want to, in this episode, we definitely don't want to tell people, don't ever log into Facebook again. That's not what we're saying.
No.
But like anything, be smart.
Absolutely.
Be healthy.
And I love the fact that it allows us to connect with family.
Yeah.
That, a lot of my family's just scattered all over the place.
Yeah. My mom learned Facebook because of her granddaughter. When I had my daughter, my parents are in Chicago and we're in Chattanooga. And so, that my mom learned Facebook so that she could watch my kid grow up without having to be
absolutely
right here every week.
Talking about dating us,
Yeah.
Ryan, most of, you and I have talked a lot about, as far, and we're talking about any social media outlet, obviously, but we mentioned Facebook a lot.
Yeah.
That pretty much dates us.
Sure. Yeah. In and of itself. That's right. My daughter would not even think about getting on Facebook.
No.
She is she's a TikTok person.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't even use Instagram in the way you and I use Instagram.
Sure.
She uses Instagram to watch the reels, the videos.
That's it. My daughter has, but she doesn't ever use it.
Right.
I don't even know why she got one, to be quite honest with you. My son doesn't even have one. And so I guess it just, you can tell by how old somebody is by what they use the most as far as social media goes, I suppose.
And I don't know that that's a bad thing.
I don't think so.
Because I also think that when you look at the demographics and how those demographics move from platform to platform, right? It's not like only people over a certain age are familiar with Facebook because they grew up with it. What actually happens is the way we use social media changes as we age, and the different platforms are actually more conducive to the things that we want to do with it.
Absolutely.
Right. So like my daughter doesn't have a daughter to share photos of, thank goodness.
No, that would be a problem.
Yes. And so right now what she wants to do is she wants to watch funny cartoon videos. She wants to laugh about something that some piece of content somebody created, and she wants to quickly do the same, like share a funny video with her friends. And so she lives on TikTok. In 5 or 6 years, when she is finishing college, she's going to move into a little bit of LinkedIn as she starts to build resumes for her career, right? And then eventually, as she gets older and starts to have a family and her real world life kind of becomes more adult, the use of social media will shift to where Facebook is more a thing that she wants to use. And we all go through those cycles.
That's all part of it. It's part of the process. And, we talk about creativity. I mean, it goes both ways, because in a lot of ways, online can create a great sense of creativity.
Absolutely.
I mean, you think about some of the things that this younger generation is producing, whether it be on YouTube, it is really, really, really impressive.
And also most of the very famous musicians we have today, like it used to be like their song somehow got on the radio and it broke out and became a big hit. And because there's not really radio anymore.
No.
And so, I mean, there is, but not
like it used to be.
Yeah. And so now you've got all of the really famous folks, they broke on TikTok or some other social media platform.
They produced, they created, they did all of that without having a record label or anything like that, and then had to get recognized.
That's right.
I think every kid at some point wants to become a YouTuber. Right. And, but people who do that and are successful at it, they are really, really good at it. It takes a lot. I mean, it's not just you just come up with a video and you just talk.
Right.
That takes a lot of work behind, a lot of editing.
So much work.
And you have to be, I'd say it this way, you have to be engaging and entertaining and know what you're doing.
Yep. Yeah, it's work.
It's work. And what's the age range that we're looking at? Think about that.
Yeah, some of them are very young teenagers.
Very young, preteen even.
Yeah.
And so...
It's incredible also.
Shout out to our preteens, our teenagers, our young adults. That is really impressive. You all can do things that a lot of our generation cannot do,
right?
Quite frankly.
Yeah.
And that's going to be needed as we move forward. And you think about the impact that can have in just ministry itself.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. We need that in the church in some ways. Maybe not talking about shoes or, I don't know, gaming or whatever it is that YouTubers talk about, but that ability and that skill can definitely be used in a lot of wonderful ways for the kingdom. So
so let's count our blessings and not let them become problems.
They're not problems; they're solutions.
That's right.
And so, anyways, well, thank you for being with us for this episode. We're really excited. We've got a couple of episodes coming down the pipe that you're going to want to listen to and not want to miss. And so you'll want to be staying tuned to that. Also, we are going to be in Orlando. Right.
That's right. No, we're going to be at General Assembly.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. We're going to do the same thing we did last time we were at General Assembly. So we're going to be recording shorter kind of mini podcast shows.
Absolutely.
The whole time from our booth.
No, I probably won't make it to Disney, to be honest with you, but
I won't either.
we're going to go down there. It's going to be work. We're going to have fun though.
Yeah.
We're going to enjoy what we're doing there and work hard at the same process. And so, we're excited. So come by and see us. right? We want to meet you, want to say hi to you.
And if you can't be there, then just make sure you listen to the little episodes that we make while we're
Absolutely. You can enter online. You can engage with us online.
Yeah.
Speaking of online, if you like this episode, if you like our podcast, please be sure to share it with all your friends.
Smash the like button.
Smash. I love it. Just smash that like button right now.
Yeah.
All right. And so subscribe. And we definitely do appreciate the support. We don't do what we do without you. And actually, the reason we do what we do is because we love you, and we're here to support you. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for the work that you put in the front line of ministry. We love and appreciate you. So having said that ends this episode. I'm going to land the plane now. Right. Ryan, I can do it.
Yeah.
So for our producer and co-host, Ryan, as for myself, this has been Pastoring on Purpose, and we will see you next time. And until then, God bless.
You've been listening to Pastoring on Purpose, the official podcast of the Center for Ministerial Care. Join us next time as we continue our purposeful progress to becoming better pastors and better people.